edition of Prohire TruckTV, and today we're going to have a look at the Renault Master Z.E. We're just heading into another lockdown, which I didn't think we were going to be doing, so a lot of the precautions we're taking are really around the COVID and government guidelines, so bear with me if some of the things that we do are slightly more clunky than the normal. Back to our lovely beast here. It's the Renault Master Z.E. Probably one of the first real electric vans that hit the UK market, and it's been going around for some years now, and we looked at initially going back a while ago, and what I want to try and do really is refresh where we are in 2020 with a look for probably one of the electric market's most recognised names, and we'll see how it's improved if it has, and of course if it hasn't, we'll say that as well. But great, let's have a look at this. So as we said before, the Renault Master Z.E has been around for quite some time now, and really you kind of get the feel as electrification moves on, then this van will move on with it. And of course it's got some real stiff competition coming into the marketplace now from many other the major manufacturers, and really want to see what Renault have managed to do to keep up with the times and really drive some of this pace forward. You know, it's a decent van, and Renault make some good quality products, and in fairness to Renault, they've been driving the electric superhighway for a long time now, and probably a lot further on than some of the other guys that you see that are coming in as late entrants. But have they made that time work for them? I don't know. It's a reasonable vehicle. You know, it's pretty much a standard ICE type vehicle, so it's what you expect from Renault, from its diesel products, with the exception of course here we have the charging flap, which takes in your standard electric charging points. You'll be able to use this in most motorway services, and of course from the 3-pin at home. But just a word of warning, 3-pin at home, you buy this vehicle or any Renault vehicle, it's 17 hours of charging on your standard supply at home. So you need to think about how your electrification and your power points are put in. Remember, here at Prohire, all of this stuff we've done for you. We can manage that process with you right the way throughout. And of course every vehicle you see is available on full tire. ProGreen Prohire business. So looking through the van, it's a fairly atypical standard vehicle. You know, reasonable size, and in fairness to Renault, not a terrible payload. You know, lots of electric vehicles really max out on payload, and they give you a great big van, but you can't carry a great deal with it. Renault are not in that market. This van is capable of carrying more than a ton, which is adequate for in the market we're living in. So I think what we're going to do is take it out for a run. We've had it on charge for 24 hours to make sure it is fully charged for our epic escapade, but I'm not really sure how far we're going to get, so let's have a look. It's lovely, it's quiet, it drives really well. It's really positive when you're steering. You know, it's got a decent cab. You know, air conditioning. We've got the heating at the moment because it's pretty freezing outside, and you know, but you know, cruise control. You know, all modern comms, reversing cameras, all the things that you'd like to see in a 2020 vehicle. I'm just super concerned about range. You know, I've been going, and I had to come back on pretty quickly. I've been going sort of like 2 miles or so, and I've dropped from 73 to 68. And I'm really taking it carefully. That being said, some of these electric vehicles tend to go on and on and on. So we'd like to see, you know, clearly how we end up as we go through the journey, and you know, we've seen some of the other videos where vehicles have started off where I was a bit disappointed in the range and ended up doing far more than I expected. So I'm really keeping my fingers crossed that on such a nice vehicle, such a well-appointed vehicle from a major manufacturer, that they factored in. When you look at the immense capital cost of one of these vehicles, that range is super important, and I get the feeling that they must have done, you know, clearly. you know, we don't have the immense acceleration you see with some of the other vehicles, which is perfectly fine. The vehicle seems to be limited, which is also fine. 50 miles an hour. You know, okay, if that's what it's limited, that's what's limited at. I'm comfortable enough with that. I don't have an issue with that. But for all of those limitations, you'd expect to see, you know, extended from the range. Say 57 kilowatts of battery power. Don't see that being enough for a commercial vehicle. You know, I think 70 kilowatts is probably an entry level for a big van, and I think that's where some of these OEMs at the moment have got this wrong. You know, 70 kilowatt. Yes, it's expensive, but you know, don't let them tell you it's the cost of the batteries. Lithium-ion cells have been coming down in price for some time, and you know, over the last few years, it's come down dramatically, and really, you know, you're not seeing that when it comes to the reduction in the cost of these vehicles, and it's a bit peeving really, because I want to get as many people into electric vehicles as possible. Our whole profile around the ProGreen team now is how we take everything for you, including the power note, the PowerPoints, the integrating with the surveys, and to provide you with something that you can use every day without you having to really do a great deal about it. And for me, you know, some of the OEMs have got to get to the point where stop thinking about a European standpoint and more from a UK standpoint, where vehicles in the UK tend to do more mileage. You know, from my experience in a lot of the operations I've worked with across Europe, you know, an average panel van or 3.5 ton box or whatever it is 20,000 kilometres a year. So this fits in really nicely. The average mileage in the UK is 50,000 miles a year, so you can see the difference in that. When I've come in conversation with colleagues in the past from Italy and France and Spain, you know, that they can't believe that anybody would drive a 3.5 tonner for in their world, you know, 80,000 kilometres per annum. So 4 years worth of general work from a standard European vehicle. So I guess that's got to be taken into account here when the mindset of how this van's been developed has been developed for a market which does that kind of mileage. However, we have many customers and many clients in the UK that are capable or do operating in that environment. However, then you've got to take off the commercial aspect then and say, well, actually, you know, I'm using electric, I'm green. Okay, there is a cost to that. Okay, is there? Actually, if you do it properly and work this out, I'd like to put vehicles on the ground for you that are at worst cost neutral, and at best where you can see not just some CO2 savings, which are significant, but also some real positive savings from an aspect of cash, which is, if you're going to pay the kind of money that you'll have to pay for a vehicle like this, there's got to be some fiscal benefit, in my opinion. So, you know, but of course, all of that is discussable. We're happy to sit down with you guys through Zoom at the moment, clearly because of the COVID world, and talk about electricity, electrification of your sites, understanding where you need to be, PowerPoints, and then the vehicle, the ranges, and we have telematics on our own operation. Our engineers will come out, put telematics on some vehicles that you may think, well, actually I need an electric vehicle and I'm going to put it on that route, but it may not work. So we can put telematics into diesel vehicles to allow you to run the vehicle for maybe a month or so, and we can then sit down and go, guys, you know, this will work, it won't work, it will work if you do this, but you're not spending huge sums of money on vehicles that physically don't give you what you expect them to do, and that's our ProGreen promise. We will not just put any L vehicle in there and go crack on, and whether it's a CDV through to, currently we're operating with new 7.5 tonners on the ground as well, where we're helping out with them ranges of we're going to showcase one in the next week or so, 200 kilometres, but again, you have to make sure that this vehicle is fit for you. But you know, we're going to keep on going. It started to even out a little bit now, the mileage, so we'll hopefully, as we get through the day, that we'll get back in without running out of power. So watch this space. See you soon, guys. I have to say, one thing it does do in when you're dealing with electric, and I know I mentioned it earlier on, is to be persistent and to continue with the ranges, because some of the dashboard ranges tend to to fluctuate wildly, and it's not just because it's a Renault Master, it's all of them, and that I've been in, that give you a flavour for this. And I've been driving now for another hour or so, and it's in line now with the range it initially set out to do, and I think that's at least a comfort for me, because you know, if the range is already quite short and it actually doesn't even come up to that, then I'd be very worried. Now look, the on a full charge it says 75 miles on this vehicle. You know, saying that, it was on charge all night. Before I went anywhere, it kind of gone down to 73, and which again worried me, you know, immensely. And it's not big mileage, and then you would bend about the bottom end of the lithium-ion power cells. However, saying that, you know, we've covered 50 miles or so, and look, going from the reference where we started out to where we're back, we've covered about 50 miles, 51 actually, miles of travelling, and about 49 miles of electric according to the clock. So again, you know, kind of in keeping with it. No lights on yet, so we're not being asked to reduce power. We're not being asked to do anything, you know, untoward with the vehicle right now. We're still using it as you would expect to use it on your daily run. But I am of the impression though that, you know, realistically speaking, you are getting to the end of its travel today, and I guess from my perspective, a lot of the conversations here are around about, you know, range versus, you know, acceptability in the product. Now, let's be fair. You know, if you've got a central urban delivery service, you're operating around town, you're multi-dropping parcels, there's no weight criteria, and you're comfortable with covering, or your daily runs are not much more than 60 miles or so, you know, this van will do everything you want it to do. And I think, you know, the opportunity to recharge it again for an afternoon, you know, you don't at this current way of working, you don't have that. I think, you know, clearly there's something in me that says we should, because I think, you know, fast charging in cars is one thing. Fast charging in commercial vehicles is essential. You know, you have to be in that situation where you can use that van twice, especially when you look at the amazing or the eye-watering capital cost of some of these products. So I guess I'm impressed the fact that the way it's laid out, it's a lovely van. It's the mileage on the gauge now is coming in line with the mileage that we're travelling, which again is I was a bit worried earlier on. Range anxiety's kicked back in, probably for the first time in a while. Actually, I mean, you hear me earlier on in some of our videos talk about range anxiety, and I've not had that for quite some time now. I drive an electric vehicle myself. I'm at the forefront of our ProGreen, you know, development, and trying to come up with better and smarter ways of operating. And I just, when I first got in the vehicle and off to go, and you start to eat that power really quickly, you have to be honest with yourself and go, you know, really, this is going to be quite problematic for some operators. And I think that for me is super key to say, look, guys, you know, is this a bit of us? Is it a bit of you? Don't know. When you're looking at capital expenditures of 3 times the normal van, if you like. So there has to be some benefit there. Good to say though that I'm still the confidence is a bit more returned. That the mileage that it says on the clock we will definitely do. Probably a little bit more in fairness. So that's probably going to push out to probably 80 miles. But you know, realistically speaking, it's 80 miles. You know, which I have to say, in my opinion, is a bit light from a modern commercial vehicle in an electric format in 2020. But I am certain that the new iterations of this product will have bigger battery packs and more power to add to this, because I do believe that you know, pushing out north of 150 is more the thing that we should be doing as a business now, and as a company, and as a country, than you know, 70-80 miles, you know, of usable range. That being said, brilliant van, love it. You know, lots of great things about it. But I think the concern for me is range, and you know, there are things out there that'll do a lot more. So it's but We again at the Prohire, ProGreen, happy to sit down and talk about every single electric vehicle that's available on the market, the pros and cons, because all of them have these. You know, and it's about fitting in the right vehicle into your operation with the right power chargers, with the right solution, at the right price. So you know, it's key that we do that, and you know, for me, that's all about ProGreen.